Alright, so we're coming up to Money in the Bank as well as 2 more episodes away from the 1000th episode of Raw. So we began with AJ, CM Punk, and Daniel Bryan. And AJ proposed to CM Punk, and Daniel Bryan proposed to AJ. It just seemed really weird. It almost hit like a slight over-the-top point. But, and then they ended up having, because this week the anonymous Raw general manager came back. Of course, Cole at first had a problem getting that cloak off of the stand, but they also revealed it too. So it ended up making a mixed tag match, where it's Punk and AJ versus Daniel Bryan and Eve. Okay, so Eve got to wrestle tonight. Kind of. So there's your opening sequence. At the same time, Santino said he was going to find out who the Raw general manager was. Okay. Interesting to finally have that storyline taken care of. And then Sheamus obliterated Swagger. Okay. And then you had a tag match, which showed participants from the Money in the Bank ladder match on the SmackDown side. So you had Tyson Kidd and Christian versus Ziggler and Lord Tensai. Oh, just Tensai. Sorry, he's no longer the Lord of Tensai. In a squash match, Tensai gains victory. Okay. Drew McIntyre took on Brodus Clay. Clay won by a squash match. If you're seeing a pattern here, it's a very apparent pattern. The tag match between Jericho and Johnny Kane ended in a DQ, but it actually had 2 commercial breaks, so it wasn't a squash match. You know, not a bad match, a good setup for them afterwards. They beat each other with ladders. You know, for that match, with only being 4 people, it really seemed like there should be 6 people in that match. Like, you couldn't see if Mysterio was, healed up enough, or you couldn't throw the Miz in there. It seems like it really needs another person. It really, really does. It seems like it's just lacking another WWE champion in that match. It just, that having been said, I think this really comes down only to 2 people. Jericho or Cena. And with Jericho, he has yet to be successful in a feud. And unless after CM Punk wins, Jericho cashes it in, then Jericho beats Punk and becomes champion. Or they'll do what they've been planning on doing, which is going to push CM Punk versus, John Cena at SummerSlam. Or maybe when The Rock comes back in 2 weeks, he'll say he's the number 1 contender because he beat John Cena, if Cena's the Money in the Bank champion. Then maybe John Cena will cash it in early to beat Punk, so that way then John Cena can take on The Rock at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. I don't know, I'm just throwing out these random ideas. They also had another match. That was another qualifying match for the SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match. So that match now has 5 people as of today. And it was Sin Cara with his weird sepia tone taking on Heath Slater in a squash match. And then Heath Slater said he'd beat any former champion. Brought out Bob Backlund. If you don't know who he is, Google him. He had this really crazy run as a champion. I think he did with Bret Hart. Super crazy. Great technician. He looks the same now. He comes down and he sinks in probably one of the most devastating looking crossface chicken wings. I mean, it literally looked like he was either going to tear off Slater's head or rip his arm from his body. Probably do both at the same time. It was impressive. I mean, it was sunk into the point that you go, this is how you sink in a finishing move to get a tap out. You saw like all the musculature showing. I mean, it was sunk in beautifully well. That's how John Cena should sink in his STF. It shouldn't be like, oh, you can move your head back and forth. No, it should be in tight, you know, flexing, veins popping, muscles exposed. It should look vicious. Jerry the King Lawler took on Michael Cole, where Jerry the King Lawler won with an airplane spin. But since Booker T kind of got involved, the Raw general manager overturned it, revealed it to be Hornswoggle, who was under the ring. Watched my buddy, and we thought it should totally be the Boogeyman. How awesome would it have been if the Boogeyman this whole time, you had smoke come out of underneath the ring, it's the Boogeyman. That would have been more entertaining and more, what the as opposed to, oh, it's Hornswoggle. Really? So did you not have an idea? It was like, who is Vince's illegitimate child? Hornswoggle. Who's the Raw general manager? Hornswoggle. It's like he's the default setting. We don't know what's going to happen. Hornswoggle. So now we're up to the main event. Yes, I know the main event already. Daniel Bryan and Punk, very little skirmishing involved. Then AJ got in the ring. I occasionally forget that AJ is like this tall. I'm sitting down in a chair, and I'm probably still taller than she is. She made Eve look huge. I mean, huge. Like me next to Big Show. I'm 6'3". Show's 7'4". It looks like she's giving like 40 pounds on like a foot of height. But AJ, you know, through help from Daniel Bryan, gets a roll-up victory from behind. AJ 1-2-3 on Eve. Okay. And then they kind of go through this weird sort of, Punk says, I'm not going to marry you. I don't care if it costs me the title. I actually care about your feelings. I'm a decent guy. And then she slaps him, slaps Daniel Bryan, and then leaves. Even though earlier she did say she would leave the ring with the man she's going to marry. But she left the ring with nobody. Which makes me think one thing. She's going to marry little Jimmy. R-Truth, you've been saved. You be good, R-Truth, now. Because AJ has taken little Jimmy. Which, I guess, given AJ's size, little Jimmy's probably like regular-sized Jimmy. But the sad thing is, with this being close to Money in the Bank last year, it was the huge, we'll see CM Punk beat John Cena and then leave the E as the champion. Which was just ridiculous, which led to this really awesome time for Punk. Now Punk is champion, and his feud with Daniel Bryan is going to be probably one of the best matches of the night, bar none. With AJ as a guest referee, you know, so they'll actually have this weird thing in this ring match, what do they call it? Psychology. You know, it'd be great to see. But it doesn't seem to have that much really building towards it. Instead, it seems like Raw is really focused on that 1000th episode. And you know what? Don't care, Charlie She's going to be on it. And The Rock's going to show up. Great. We'll be seeing The Rock a lot more since G.I. Joe got pushed back to next year. Ironically, if it would have been released like it was supposed to, it would have come out like 2 weeks ago. So, you know, it feels like Money in the Bank is really an afterthought at this point. And it's really focused on that 1000th episode of Raw when they go to 3 hours. And I'm hoping they don't just have 3 hours with like squash matches and then lots of promos.